Once upon a time in a small town, there lived a bright and clever little girl named Precious. She was busy rehearsing for an upcoming spelling bee competition, pacing around the building, diligently spelling out each word from her book. Meanwhile, in a room nearby, Cecilia, Precious's mother, found herself on the phone with her husband. She was pleading with him to provide transportation for them to reach the venue on time. It was the final competition, and Precious had made it to the top 2 contestants, the only female among them. Her husband, however, callously refused, insisting that Precious was a waste of time and wouldn't amount to anything. As he abruptly ended the call, Precious entered the room and saw tears streaming down her mother's face. Concerned, she asked what was wrong. Cecilia quickly wiped her face, pretending nothing was amiss, and went to prepare food for Precious. In another part of town, Desmond and his son Roman returned home. Roman eagerly ran to hug his mother, Phoebe. He was one of the top 2 contestants, and his mother was determined to go the extra mile to ensure his victory. She urged him to be well prepared for the competition the next day and hurried off to prepare lunch. Desmond was surprised that Phoebe had cooked, as he hadn't expected it. Phoebe explained that she was doing it for her son, and had come to live with them to provide Roman with the full support he needed. Although Desmond and Phoebe were not married, they had Roman together. Phoebe tried to make advances on Desmond, but he walked away. Cecilia assisted Precious with her rehearsal, instructing her to go to sleep as it was already past bedtime. Just then, Cecilia's husband arrived home drunk, causing Precious to flee as he began chasing Cecilia around the parlor. On the eve of the competition, Phoebe called the host of the spelling bee, pleading for them to stick to the plan so her son could emerge victorious. She ended the call with a smile on her face, hopeful for Roman's success. Finally, the day of the final competition arrived. Cecilia and Precious walked to the venue, and shortly after their arrival, Desmond and his family entered. The host, Julie, warmly welcomed them. After the competition, Desmond and his family watched their son's performance on TV with excitement. Then it was Precious's turn. As father and son marveled at her intelligence, Phoebe couldn't contain her jealousy and bitterness. She turned off the TV, instructing Roman to go to sleep, unable to bear witnessing Precious's success. Finally, Desmond and his family gathered around the television, eagerly awaiting the announcement of the spelling bee competition results. Host Julie declared Master Roman Douglas as the winner, and Phoebe, filled with joy and fulfillment, hugged her son, congratulating him for a job well done. Although Desmond suspected something was amiss, he hugged Roman, congratulating him on his success, but his gaze remained fixed on Phoebe. Meanwhile, Cecilia, surprised at the announced results, spoke to her sister Ngozi on the phone, questioning the authenticity of the outcome. Ngozi, equally surprised, advised Cecilia to let it be and look forward to another competition next year. To encourage Precious, Ngozi promised to send 10,000 and suggested that Cecilia complete her online classes for better job opportunities. In the kitchen, Phoebe, still on the phone with Julie, expressed her gratitude for the help. Unbeknownst to her, Desmond overheard the conversation. Though he said nothing to Phoebe about it, his watchful gaze left her puzzled as he walked away. Cecilia, in admiration of Precious, prepared a delicious meal and watched her eat. She shared how proud Aunt Ngozi was of Precious, bringing a smile to the young girl's face as she conveyed her regards. Overwhelmed by Phoebe's conversations, Desmond decided to visit Julie. Congratulating her on his son's victory, he pretended to welcome her and offered a donation, asking her to keep it between them. He inquired about Phoebe, and Julie mentioned their university connection, leaving Desmond pleased. He promised to send the donation to her organization, and Julie appreciated his generosity. Phoebe and her son were at the dining table when Desmond arrived. Phoebe invited him to join them, and when he asked about Julie, she explained they had just met during the competition. Desmond nodded in agreement and walked away, leaving Phoebe surprised. Later that night, Desmond, on the phone with Julie, invited her for dinner at his place. He mentioned that his friends would be joining and requested that she not mention anything to Phoebe, as he intended to do it himself. The following day, Phoebe, unknowingly preparing a delicious meal, believed it was their dinner night together, as Desmond had told her earlier. Phoebe asked Desmond if she had dished out his food just as the doorbell rang. Desmond went to answer it, and to his surprise, it was Julie. He welcomed her, and when Julie saw Phoebe at the dining table, she asked Desmond about it. Feeling cornered, Desmond demanded the truth from Julie, threatening to expose her publicly if she didn't comply. Julie, feeling threatened, confessed to helping Phoebe and apologized as she walked away embarrassed. The next day, Desmond confronted Phoebe, reprimanding her for stealing someone else's victory for their son due to her manipulation. Phoebe, unapologetically, declared she would never let her son come second and insisted that what she did was out of love, refusing to regret it. Desmond warned her that if she continued manipulating things for their son, he would ensure she never saw him again. He walked away, leaving Phoebe heartbroken. The following day, Phoebe encountered Julie and demanded she stop talking to Desmond and make things work out. Unfortunately, Julie apologized and promised to return all the money she had given. She revealed that Desmond had uncovered the truth about the real winner, Precious, and warned Phoebe that he wouldn't let her proceed with any plans. Julie walked away, leaving Phoebe feeling helpless. Desmond visited Cecilia, falsely claiming he was one of the competition organizers to get her attention. Cecilia realized he was Roman's father, and he apologized for lying to her. Cecilia offered him a seat, and Desmond confessed that Precious, not his son, had won the competition. He promised to return everything given to his son to Precious. Overwhelmed, Cecilia shed tears of joy as Desmond gave her some money and asked her to get nice things for Precious before leaving. One fateful day, Cecilia and Precious were walking to school when Desmond drove up to them and offered to drop them off. After some initial reluctance, they agreed, and Desmond drove them home after school. Upon arrival, Cecilia and Precious were surprised to find Victor waiting in the living room. Cecilia asked Precious to go to her room immediately as Victor began harassing Cecilia, accusing her of infidelity and hearing voices. Precious rushed out to hold her mom as Victor left them. In his room, Desmond was approached by Roman, who pleaded with him not to let them take his victory away. Surprised, Desmond excused himself and confronted Phoebe, scolding her for manipulating their son. He demanded she leave his house, but Phoebe refused, claiming her son needed her more. Desmond returned to his room and had a conversation with Roman, helping him understand that the victory he claimed wasn't rightfully his, but belonged to Precious due to a mistake made by the organization in announcing the winner. Roman, acknowledging the truth, accepted his defeat and recognized Precious as the rightful winner as they walked away together. The next day, Desmond dressed for work and received a phone call from Cecilia. She expressed her gratitude for everything he had done but requested that he stop coming to her house as it wasn't helping. This left Desmond concerned, but he later agreed to respect her wishes. Meanwhile, Phoebe, still desperate, approached Julie again, pleading with her not to make the announcement. She promised to bring in more investors, but Julie made it clear that the decision was final. Julie asked Phoebe to let go and allow her to fulfill her dreams, leaving Phoebe more disappointed and heartbroken. In Desmond's room, he celebrated Precious's victory with his son Roman. As they rejoiced, they heard Phoebe screaming Roman's name outside, demanding him to pack his things and leave for her place. Phoebe tried to pull Roman from Desmond's arms, but he resisted and pushed Roman back into his room. Desmond sternly warned Phoebe to leave his house and not to make his son's life difficult. Despite Phoebe's pleas, Desmond went inside to continue the celebration with Roman, leaving Phoebe defeated and desperate. The following day, Desmond visited Cecilia's house, but encountered Victor at the entrance. Victor questioned Desmond's presence and his relationship with Cecilia. Desmond inquired about Victor's connection with Cecilia, and Victor asserted that he was someone Cecilia would never disobey. When Cecilia and Precious arrived, they were shocked to see Desmond after her explicit request for him not to come. Victor threw out their bags, insisting they leave his house due to accusations of Cecilia allegedly sleeping with men. Desmond pleaded with Cecilia to find a better place for them, and eventually, she agreed. Finally settling in their new home, Desmond provided Cecilia and Precious with a room in the back quarters, BQ. He later brought them food, accompanied by his son, welcoming them and making them feel at home in their new environment. The next day, Cecilia and Precious were leaving for school when they saw Phoebe standing outside. Cecilia greeted her, but Phoebe didn't respond, causing Cecilia to feel concerned. Later in the day, Cecilia called Desmond, asking him to come to her room for an important discussion. Desmond arrived with Roman and instructed Precious and Roman to play outside, ensuring they had privacy. Cecilia then confessed to Desmond that she wanted to leave because Phoebe, whom she referred to as his wife, was unhappy seeing her around. Desmond clarified that Phoebe wasn't his wife. Their almost marriage had fallen through due to Phoebe's manipulative behavior, which had led his family to dislike him. He explained that Cecilia was staying temporarily because of their son's competition, and assured her that he would do everything possible to make them comfortable. Cecilia, in turn, shared her story, revealing that Victor was not Precious's father, and she had met him when she was stranded at school after Precious's father abandoned them. She begged Victor to allow her and her daughter to leave with him. Desmond promised to support them. Feeling jealous, Phoebe confronted Desmond, scolding him for choosing Cecilia over her. Desmond advised Phoebe to move on with her life, as he had already done. Phoebe was left speechless. In deep thought, Desmond eventually called Cecilia, asking her to check her messages and suggesting they discuss things the next day. The following day, Cecilia knocked on Desmond's door. Unfortunately, Phoebe answered and demanded to know what Cecilia wanted. Desmond intervened, insisting that Phoebe let Cecilia be, as she was his girlfriend. He introduced Cecilia to Phoebe as his girlfriend and Phoebe to Cecilia as his ex-girlfriend, leaving Phoebe confused and heartbroken as they left. Desmond welcomed Cecilia into his room and pleaded with her to continue acting as his girlfriend, explaining that Phoebe was a jealous type and wouldn't be able to handle it if she saw them dating. Cecilia agreed, seeing it as her way of showing gratitude. She warned that they shouldn't let the kids know about their arrangement, as they might be forced to explain things they weren't ready to reveal. Unfortunately, Phoebe couldn't bear the pain and expressed her anguish to Roman, revealing that his father had a new girlfriend, Cecilia, in the BQ, and that she was doing everything possible to make her leave. Phoebe successfully manipulated Roman, making him promise not to allow his father to make her leave. Roman, unaware of the situation, approached Cecilia in her room and pleaded with her not to chase his mother away, as she was now his father's girlfriend. Cecilia was shocked and immediately called Desmond. Later, Desmond held a meeting with Cecilia, Precious, and Roman, explaining why Roman's mother needed to leave and clarifying that Cecilia wasn't his girlfriend. Phoebe, still hopeful, awaited a positive response from her son. However, Roman excitedly told her that his father had taken him to see his girlfriend, and they were now friends. He assured Phoebe that nobody would chase her away, and she could visit from time to time. Disappointed and shocked, Phoebe tried to talk to Roman, but he quickly excused himself to avoid further manipulation. The next day, Cecilia was taking Precious to school when Desmond arrived with his son and Phoebe. Desmond offered to drop them off, leaving Phoebe heartbroken, as she ran away in tears and anger, packing her belongings. Feeling sad about his mother's departure, Roman's father encouraged him to be happy, assuring him that his mother would visit from time to time. Roman was relieved as they chatted happily with Precious. Days later, Cecilia and Desmond were in the living room discussing and decided to put an end to their fake girlfriend drama since Phoebe had already left. They played and made fun of their pretend relationship, expressing appreciation for each other and complimenting Cecilia's beauty. The following day in the living room, Desmond and the kids played together when Cecilia arrived and hugged the kids. She shared the good news that her certificate was ready, and she was now a project manager. The kids congratulated her, and Desmond suggested they go celebrate her success. Cecilia thanked Desmond for everything, including getting her a laptop and paying for her exams. Later that day, Cecilia and Desmond sat together, having their alone time. Cecilia expressed her gratitude to Desmond for bringing light to her and her daughter's life through the scholarship. In admiration, Desmond confessed how beautiful she looked and asked her to be his girlfriend. Overwhelmed and grateful, Cecilia accepted his proposal, and they shared a hug, beginning a new love story between them. In this story, we see the importance of honesty and communication in relationships. Phoebe's manipulative actions lead to misunderstandings and complications. On the other hand, Cecilia and Desmond, through open communication and honesty, overcome challenges and build a genuine connection. The story teaches us that being truthful and expressing our feelings can lead to stronger and healthier relationships, while deceit and manipulation can create unnecessary conflicts and heartbreak. Additionally, it highlights the significance of supporting others and being understanding, as shown by Desmond's kindness towards Cecilia and Precious. Overall, the moral encourages honesty, open communication, and empathy in our interactions with others. Thank you for joining us, and please subscribe to Move Louder and Cree Authority for more updates in this cinematic adventure.